Welcome back to the Daily Wrap. Well, we're down in the middle of England camp at the moment in Beppu, and very pleased to say I've got Chris Foy from the Daily Mail joining us today. Chris is an old colleague of mine. Chris, we've been hearing today from John Mitchell, the England coach, Australia up in Oita doing their media today. But listen, it was written in the stars that this game was going to be played, right? These two teams, obviously the 2015 World Cup history and then a long string of wins by England since. You felt like that there was a showdown coming all the way along. What's the mood in the England camp about a clash with Australia?
I think they're very confident, but they're obviously having to publicly underplay that confidence, and they're sort of calling the record of 6 wins out of 6 against Australia under Eddie Jones. They're saying that's irrelevant, and just looking ahead to this game, and they're very wary of Australia being smart and coming up with surprises, being a good tournament team, but they will be confident.
John Mitchell today was talking about what's the big point of issue this week is Billy Vunipola's fitness, right? So what's the status there? What's the injury, and is he going to play?
Twisted ankle, and it looked like he wouldn't have played if they'd played against France last week. They keep just saying very positively, very vaguely, he's making good progress. Now today it's a bit more definitive. John Mitchell, the defence coach, talking about the injury before, saying good progress, and he is very likely, in inverted commas, to be playing this weekend. From the evidence of what we saw in an initial period of training, he seemed to be testing out the ankle, and he seemed to be moving quite freely. So it sort of looks promising that he'll be available.
Now, we're a little bit obsessed with Ricky Stuart being in the England camp this week. He arrived at training today, and media aren't allowed into training for very long, but Ricky Stuart arrived today, and the connection is there with John Mitchell through his management team, I believe. And Ricky Stuart, how much does the English camp know about Ricky Stuart, and what do you make of these Australian rugby league types coming in and spending a bit of time with Eddie Jones in the camp?
Oh, it's funny. I mean, the talk here has been about how this is set up a long time ago, but it's just amusing. Everyone finds it quite funny, the timing of this week of all weeks, and Eddie Jones no doubt will be aware of all of that and find it quite entertaining to sort of allow the invite now. There wouldn't be a huge awareness about him amongst the English public, amongst the England squad. A couple of guys such as Owen Farrell and George Ford, very much from a rugby league background, be very pleased to have him around. No doubt be sort of picking his brains quite a lot, during this week.
But as you say, the World Cup element in a week against Australia, that just adds a little bit of spice. And John Mitchell had this to say about what benefits they gain out of having a guy like Ricky Stuart in camp.
It's awesome. If you were to ask any other coaches and the players, to get somebody in that we can share and learn off and create a stimulus around. They've just recently played in one of the major competitions of rugby league in the world, and you'd be stupid if you weren't able to gain something from that.
Okay, so up in the Australian camp in Odawara, the Wallabies are coming down tomorrow to Oita to get onto the ground, but Christian Leali'ifano was doing some media today, and he spoke about his challenges with fitness. They've had to handle him with a little differently. He's sort of getting on, and obviously his health issues are well known. But I guess the question is, who do they pick at 10? They've had 3 10s, Foley, Leali'ifano and Matt To'omua. Do you think that throws any doubt into the England camp about what the hell is going on in the Wallabies backline?
It has to. I mean, I would imagine they'll be doing lots of their own sort of detailed work behind the scenes, but when you've got a player in that position, or players in that position, and there's a doubt about it, that sets the whole tone for the attacking shape of the team. They're going to have Foley in their heads as the bogeyman from 4 years ago. They got doubts about who it will be, but if it's To'omua, they know To'omua from his time at Leicester, and he's had some moments where he's made a good impact in this tournament, but they're going to be guessing a bit as well.
Let's have a listen to what Christian had to say about just getting through this little block of games and his workload management.
Obviously, I've spoken a bit about the management of my load as well, and I've been here, I guess, really grateful for that, how Cheika and his staff have managed that. So feeling as good as I can, obviously. By the time my voice got a little bit of a cold, but that's just, I think, typhoon that came in and change of weather. But feeling pretty good physically and mentally as well.
So the other point of interest is the referees have been named for this quarter final. Jerome Garces he's got the whistle for this one. 2 French referees and Ben Skeen as the TMO. So prepare yourself for a 3-hour match with lots of referrals. And I mean, we laugh about it, but it's been a factor in this tournament, hasn't it? The games are not only long, but there's a real sort of uncertainty about whether both teams will finish with 15 men, the way that they're refereeing these high contacts.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously been a lot of red cards. There's a lot of uncertainty. Well, uncertainty in terms of the overall outcome, in terms of when the cards will come and what the suspensions and the aftermath will be. Clearly, they're being coached and trained behind the scenes in terms of the tackle height, but it's just been such a factor in this World Cup. It seems to have settled down slightly in the last week or so, but certainly the early stages, a constant issue.
I want to ask you, does that, the 14-man game and England having a game off and then beating, two lesser opponents, are England battle-hardened enough going into this quarter-final?
I think it is a concern. I think they won't say it publicly, but they often talk about how they can train higher than test match intensity, but that's in certain facets of the game. You just don't have that absolute edge of aggression you're going to get when there's a game of this magnitude. So I think it can't be anything other than an issue that could come back to bite them. It's been a long time. It'll have been 2 weeks since a meaningful game, and even that was rendered sort of a weakened event by the fact that Argentina lost a player.
Listen, we'll throw forward to Wednesday. There's more media here in the England camp. Australia moving down to Oita. Teams are getting named roughly Thursday. I'm not sure what the Wallabies are doing. England is definitely Thursday. That's Eddie Jones. Foyboy, a prediction for this Saturday?
I still think England are favourites. England should win based on most rationale you'd apply, but that 2-week break is interesting. And I just think Australia have more momentum in that way. I still think England by 5 points, but a decent game.
Yeah, I'd agree. England are firm favourites. They should win this, absolutely. And but quarterfinals are littered with upsets, Chris. So thank you very much for your time, mate. And we'll see you tomorrow for more Daily Wrap.